It's unfortunate. You're talking about roughly since 2018, thereabout. So you're talking about 5 years that we have not had the benefits of having Peace Corps workers in the western side here. Being red listed is definitely not a good thing. I have an understanding, a greater understanding of how the United States government works. They do protect their citizens, but unfortunately, it costs us as Jamaicans.
The increasing presence and unruly behavior of migrant criminals in Hanover is threatening the parish's access to vital support services from the United States Peace Corps, a situation that is hindering its socioeconomic development. The Peace Corps, which provides volunteers to provide specialist assistance in crucial areas such as agriculture, community economic development, education, environment, health and youth development, has red-listed Hanover along with the neighboring parishes of Westmoreland and St. James due to rising crime rates. Regional Director of Heart Trust NTA's Region 4, Dr. Shauna Newsom-Myrie, in her keynote address at the agency's Stakeholders Forum at Global Villas in Lucy on Thursday, October 10, expressed concern over the situation.
Volunteers from overseas to help with your different locations. And I was saying, I wonder who I could get some Peace Corps volunteers to be a part of my region. And the lady looked at me and said, where are you from? And I said, I'm from across the entire region 4, which covers St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland. And she says, ma'am, all of your parishes are in the red, which means that Peace Corps volunteers are not allowed to be in any of your parishes because of the level of crime that takes place within these 2 parishes.
In the meantime, Dr. Newsom-Myrie expressed concern, emphasizing that this situation is troubling given the numerous opportunities provided by HEART. She urged stakeholders to come together to help rescue young people who may be at risk of being left behind.
So it's the burden I carry each day for this region. When I think about the many young people, especially our young men, who sits by so idle each day when there are just so many opportunities that are made available for them to become gainfully engaged and employable. And so it is going to take each of us working together to ensure that we leverage our strengths, our expertise, and our resources to ensure that we rescue those young people we have out there.
The red listing of Hanover comes as a blow to the parish, as it means that no Peace Corps volunteers will be stationed there, which means residents of the parish, which is one of Jamaica's most marginalized, will not be able to benefit from essential services, which could significantly improve the quality of life for residents.
My name is Angela Hay, and I'm the founder and executive director for the Hanover Education Institute. It's unfortunate. You're talking about roughly since 2018, thereabout. So you're talking about 5 years that we have not had the benefits of having Peace Corps workers in the western side here. It is, being red listed is definitely not a good thing. I have an understanding, a greater understanding of how the United States government works. They do protect their citizens, but unfortunately, it costs us as Jamaicans. I worked with Peace Corps around about 2009, 2010. We had our first volunteer from the state of Maryland, and she brought a wealth of information to our organization. She was our assistant teacher. She was excellent in curriculum development. We did a number of what you would call out-of-the-box projects that because of her instrumentality in terms of her imagination, her creativity. She was placed as a teaching assistant because that was her focus, which was education and youth. Very articulate, very bright. She not only did she spend 2 years with us, she enjoyed Hanover and she enjoyed the school. She ended up spending an extra year, so she was here for 3 years in the parish. She has learned a lot. She kind of engrossed herself into our culture. She learned about our foods. She learned about our language, and just basically overall how we operate as a people. It was invaluable service to Hanover and to the Hanover Education Institute. It was invaluable service to our students. Really fantastic Peace Corps worker that we had. So that was in 2009, 2010. Moving along, around about 2015 there about, some additional Peace Corps workers were placed here in Hanover. We had this young lady from, I forgot what part of the States, but she was placed at Kendall Primary. And then we had another young lady who was placed at Caldwell Primary School. Again, really fantastic, well-trained, well-educated young people. I remember the Peace Corps worker that was placed at Kendall. She set up a fantastic vegetable garden with the students. I mean, it was really out of the box thinking. It has never been done to my understanding up to that point. So the students get a chance to really get into the whole planting of vegetables. They got to see how the process worked. They got to take care of it, and they got to harvest it, which ultimately, helped in their lunch program at the school. Really bright, articulate young lady. And of course, the one that was placed at Hanover Primary, same thing. Just a lot of work that was put into these two schools. Those two young ladies really brought a lot of knowledge, experience to these two schools. But unfortunately, their tenure was cut short because crime and violence started raising its head in our beautiful parish. And there was just an upsurge in shootings, and unfortunately Peace Corps decided to pull their volunteers from Hanover and Westmoreland. So that was a big loss to the community. And I said the community because it goes beyond the school community. These young people lived in the community, interacted, spent their funds in the community. You're talking about housing, you're talking about food, transportation, because they had to move around. So it is a domino effect in terms of the benefits that we derive from their presence in Jamaica and what they impart to us. So when we are at a stage where, because of crime and violence, we cannot benefit from programs like these, it does pose a problem.
The Peace Corps is an independent U.S. government agency and program which trains and sends volunteers abroad to deliver international development aid. It was founded in March 1961 through Executive Order 10924, issued by President John F. Kennedy.
We have a lot of outsiders. Now, here is another situation where we have a lot of growth going on in the hotel industry, in the tourism sector, which is fantastic. But on the other side of that equation, we have a lot of migrating workers. We have persons who come from other parishes, and they are now sort of engross themselves into our community. We don't know where they're living. We don't know anything about the background. We're not sure who are working on these sites. And it was stated by our superintendent not too long ago that because of that, it is helping to contribute to our crime situation here in the West, in particular Western Hanover and Westmoreland. So we have to look at ways and means in which we can educate our young people, get them the requisite skills and knowledge, so we won't have to import so many persons from across Jamaica to work when we have these fantastic projects going on. And I will go back to a sensitization meeting that I was at some weeks ago that spoke to the Richmond development that is taking place in Cousins Cove. This is fantastic. And what I like about the concept is that this particular company, which is a Jamaican-owned company, is taking the time and the opportunity to train the workers who are going to be on their project. Now, to me, that's a fantastic new way of thinking. We have a lot of qualified persons in the West, but we have to educate them and help them to see beyond just being a regular labor. So now moving forward, there's so many entities, agencies, and individuals that can be a part of the solution. I mean, we have our member of parliament, we have our other local agencies, councillors, those types of persons, as well as even myself, who is involved in the NGO world. Another part of the solution, I believe, is to host a summit on crime. Very important. But of course, this would take on a different demeanor. We don't want to have well behaved. By the way, let me qualify. There's nothing wrong with having well behaved children who are moving ahead. But the thrust of the summit would be to focus on the young, unattached youth, especially our males who are living on the periphery of life. It would be great to incorporate them into the summit and get all of the relevant stakeholders to be a part of that summit. I am envisioning a summit that is filled with motivation, that is filled with guidance and direction to help these young people, especially our males, harness the type of skills, the type of energy, the type of strength, right? And power that they have within themselves. That quite frankly sometimes is being wasted on the wrong things. I would love for us to be able to bring that to reality and set the ball, get it rolling, and do more of that along with other types of what you would call solutions, right? To help to bring our young and attached youth back on the straight and narrow path.
As Hanover grapples with limited resources, the impact of crime on attracting international support is becoming more apparent. The actions of criminals are preventing the parish from taking advantage of opportunities to implement community-driven initiatives, putting it at risk of falling further behind in areas essential to the well-being of its residents.